We're back with our video sit-downs with the candidates, and it's Irene Bowling running for 35th District State Senate this time. Irene, I want you to give everybody tell everybody a little bit about your background and why you're seeking an election.
All right,
thank you. Right there.
Very pleased to be here. Thank you for asking. I'm delighted to be running for the State Senate. And my family moved here in the 1930s up in the Bremerton area, shipyard workers and loggers here in this area. And I'm a professional educator. I've taught Olympic College, University of Maryland. I had a stint there, and I have my own private business. And so I've been very involved in the community for many, many years. And also ran for a state senate in 2014. So I'm back at it again and happy to give my views and how I can help our district here.
So let's dive right into some of the issues.
Absolutely.
School funding, property taxes. Everybody's gotten that property tax statement, and sticker shock is one thing that I've heard from people. I'm sure eyes have gotten so big they're like silver dollars on your face. Your thoughts on the school funding and the situation that we're in?
Well, obviously there had to be a solution, and I'm not in agreement entirely with the solution that the legislator came up with. They passed a $43.7 billion operating budget, and out of that, $7.3 billion is dedicated to help fix the McCleary solution. And then about $2 billion or so is going to go towards upgrading teacher salaries. But there are lots of difficulties with this. First of all, it's on the backs of homeowners. Our taxes have gone up. Some of the people in my area are very unhappy with it, of course, because they're being forced out of their homes. They can, if they're on a fixed income or if they're retired, a lot of the shipyard workers and people that are working folks, this is hitting them pretty hard. So I'm not in agreement with that. I thought the capital gains tax might be more reasonable because it's hitting the wealthy people in our community to be paying on their assets instead of the working folks here in our community.
You mentioned it about teacher salary being part of the McCleary statement, and there have been some, I'm going to call them inequities in the regional concept for certain school districts. Mm-hmm. Your thoughts on?
Well, this is a tremendous problem because, first of all, if you don't offer an equitable pay across the board for all teachers in the state, then of course teachers are going to go to the wealthier districts that are going to pay more. So salaries should be equal among teachers no matter where they are. And also, the problem now with the levies situation is because this new budget has been developed for the paying for the schools, the levies will be reduced, and a lot of the schools will be paying their extra teachers and just the regular teachers an additional payment through the levies. So the question will be, if the schools are determining this $2 billion that's supposed to go to upgrading teacher pay, are they going to be fixing the roofs on their schools with this? Or are they going to be actually following through and giving the teachers their extra salary? So this is not clear to me, and I think it's not clear to a lot of present legislators, and I think that really we have to carefully work this out. Otherwise, people will not want to be working for these rural school districts, such as out here in Shelton.
School safety. We've seen what's happening around the country with the incidents and the shootings and what have you. Do you see a solution or some help coming for student safety? And I know I'm not asking you whether you support arming teachers or not, but what are your thoughts on keeping our kids safe?
Well, many of our schools are very old. They're old buildings. In fact, we passed a levy up at CK High School to build a new junior high and a high school there. My dad actually graduated from that school in 1937. There were rats in the basement, and the ceilings were falling down, et cetera. So finally, we did pass a bond issue to build a new high school there. But one of the things they're including in this new high school are better locks, better security, one entrance, one exit kind of situation. So I think that just the infrastructure of our schools could be upgraded. That costs a lot of money. A lot of our older schools in our districts do not have that. People can just walk in freely into the schools. So I think we do have to have control, a better control in and out access. Also, there should be locks put on the doors in all the classrooms so that people can actually lock their kids in. And a lot of schools don't even have locks. Again, it's a matter of money, but I think we need funding for that to upgrade the infrastructure of our schools for security. I also think that we need a lot more mental health personnel for our schools. It is a concern. And also teachers and principals need to have the option of actually expelling students if they're a danger to the school. And I've talked to many principals and many teachers over the years, and they say they're afraid to do that because of the lawsuits from the parents of these children. So there's all kinds of issues going on, and when you look at the history of a lot of these school shooters and the way the schools are set up, they're freely walking into the schools. The teachers are scrambling to find out how they can protect the kids. And in many cases, these students that were the school shooters, they were tagged by the teachers and the principals, sometimes for years. So this can't be ignored anymore, obviously.
You talked about mental health, which is one of the issues that they're facing our society. What about homelessness?
Homelessness is, of course, especially here in our area, is a really big problem. And in Seattle, I was just over in Seattle the other day, and it's just everywhere. So affordable housing is a huge issue. People are being forced out of their homes from rising taxes, from not having affordable rent, no rent control. Big corporations in certain areas are coming in, and so everyone's raising because people can afford to pay that. However, what do the people do? Where do they live if they can't afford a place to stay? So I think having affordable housing is number one. Number two, we can't be putting mentally ill people out on the street. You know, so I mean, it goes from the schools to just the basic homeless. I mean, out in Tahuya and blue tarps and people living out in the woods. I mean, this is inexcusable for a society that we have. We need to have better federal housing, HUD. We need to work on a lot of things that the government can do and expand those programs so that people can get in, especially veterans. I was very happy to hear that the tiny homes program is coming up here, but they don't have a place to put it. There's no land that it has been set aside for this, and also that's only taking care of 30 or 40 people. I think that our problem here is much greater than that. So we need people in the state legislature that are going to really fight for this.
Speaking of the legislature, special sessions. Is there a fix so that we do not I mean, we did it this past session. We didn't have a special session, but there seems to be a trend about special sessions.
Well, the reason that there was no special session this time is that we have a democratically controlled Senate now by one senator. And so everything got done on time. It was from like January 8th to March 8th. The session before went all the way into July, I think, like July 20th or I don't know. But it was 7 months long.
Right.
So that's on the taxpayers' back. So I'm very happy that they were able to come to this budget solution and figure everything out here this year. There's no guarantee as the winds shift, you know, between the party politics. But again, working across the aisle, trying to get people to work together for mutual benefit of the people that elected them is of paramount, you know, that's the big issue. And it's not just for professional politicians or people that are in office. That's their main career. And they don't care if it goes on 7 months, you know. I mean, I personally have a business, I have a family, you know. I have no interest in being in there for 7 months, you know, wrangling about things. So I think that you have to work across the aisle and get these sessions on time because it's a waste of the taxpayers' money.
Environment. We all love the environment, but how do we balance the environment with being able to fund things that we need? You know, business, attracting business. How do we balance all this?
Well, getting back to the housing crisis and not having affordable housing, you know, we need to build more here. We need to do a lot more property, and I think high-density housing is, of course, a good solution because you can have more people closer in. The services are all there, the infrastructure is there, the sewage, the water, the electricity. So that's one thing, is grouping people a little bit closer together, but also preserving the other land, preserving some of that land. I know that there are certain things that DNR are putting through even here in our county, in Tahuya and in Dawato, and a lot of the waterfront areas, Hood Canal, so for generations to come, so that we have places that we can recreate in. I think that the environmental issue with this septic lagoon that people have been talking about, I'm very concerned about that. I've been trying to get all the facts straightened out. That's been going on for a long time. The neighbors are very concerned about how that's going to affect their property values. Are they going to smell it? You know, if there's a tremendous rain, we've had very strange weather patterns, as you know, in the last few years. How is that going to affect Lake Limerick and the other watershed area there? So I don't think that we can allow one big corporation to dictate, because they want to expand something and endanger our neighbors in our community here. So there has to be a balance between development and also the safety and security of our citizens.
Well, Irene, I got to tell you, there's a lot that we could talk about. We could probably sit here for an hour.
I would love to. I wish we could.
And I appreciate your time, so I'm going to let you go, except I have one final little thing I'd like to ask candidates. I want you to do a brief statement about why we should send you to Olympia as our next state senator.
The reason I'm running again against the incumbent is because I'm angry and frustrated. He has been in office for 27 years, and the things that we're talking about, homelessness, environmental issues, development of business, bringing jobs into our community, the infrastructure of roads, and all the things that we could have and should have, a Department of Tourism, which we don't have. Why has that not happened in 27 years? What is he bringing to the table? What is he bringing to our community? I think 27 years is long enough. And I think that we need new leadership with new ideas, and that's what I plan on doing. I'm doing it because I'm angry, and we've run out of time.
Thank you, Irene, for taking the time.
Thank you, my pleasure.